Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football. My name is Scott Morgan, we're the Motor City Mad Mouth. Glad to be joined by Alex Fleming. Good evening, Alex.
How you doing, sir?
Doing the best I can. Lost my mom last week, and now, unfortunately, we lost a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars family, David M. Levin. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you've ever met David, but he's one of the classiest individuals I've ever seen, and he's done a lot of broadcasts with me here. So, David, rest in peace. I love you. I miss you. You were a big asset to everything we did, but more importantly, you were like a brother and a friend to me. So, rest in peace, Dave.
My condolences to the Levin family. I only got to meet you once. I have no idea how big of a loss this is to everyone else. You were cordial and nice whenever I first met you, a rookie making his way. So, yes, my condolences to his family.
Yeah, I actually met David at the draft in Jacksonville is what I did. And we hung out for a few days, and then Dan Edwards goes ahead and puts us next to each other, and you can only imagine how that turned out. So, but anyways, let's talk some football. Ready? All right, David Woodson says the Dallas Cowboys should pay their most important player, Dak Prescott. Let me tell you this, Dak Prescott, they could have wrapped this thing up a lot earlier. Now it's going to get more money next year. Knowing full well that if you franchise him, you're talking about $37 million, and you could have gotten off a whole lot easier.
You reap what you sow. You want to be cheap. You don't want to treat him like Tony Romo. You want to treat a fourth-round pick as if he's expendable. You lose the quarterback, then all of a sudden everything else falls apart. They don't respect Andy Dalton. That defense looks worse than suspect, and I don't see you guys winning maybe another game past Cincinnati. You should have paid him.
Absolutely. All right. Steelers, James Conner is set to return against the Buffalo Bills after being removed from the COVID-19 list. Two questions. Number one, do you feel that the lack of James Conner against the Washington football team is the reason why the Steelers have a blemish on their record?
No. Yes, he could have contributed, absolutely. But the fact that they played 3 games in 12 days was probably the main reason why they lost this game. They're tired. They haven't had a real bye week. Their bye week came in week 3 thanks to Tennessee, and the NFL has not helped them with the schedule. If Mike Tomlin doesn't win Coach of the Year, his only competitor should be Brian Flores. But if he doesn't win Coach of the Year, there's a conspiracy and heads need to roll.
Yeah, I think you could make a case for Mike Tomlin, but being local here, Brian Flores could conceivably beat him out. And what the Dolphins have done here, Alex, is pretty remarkable considering many people didn't think they'd win a game last year, and the progression's looking good for Miami. All right, let's talk about Larry Fitzgerald, reinstated after 2 games. Once again, absence because of COVID-19. What's your take on that?
You need to score a touchdown, Larry. You're a legend. You have absolutely, positively nothing to prove. How in the hell is Andy Isabella, Dan Arnold, Chase Edmonds, and Christian Kirk have more touchdowns and touches than you? Rise up. I remember you at Pittsburgh. I remember your first years. You were thoroughbred. You have more tackles than drop passes. Damn it, Larry, score a touchdown.
Well said. All right, now in the I told you so category, but we're leading off with Detroit, Chicago. My goodness. Darrell Bevell gets his first win. I had a gut feeling that when you have a new interim coach, they play pretty high and try to make a case for this guy. Darrell Bevell did a fine coaching job, and Matthew Stafford helped him quite a bit. So what are your thoughts about my I told you so, Alex? Okay, that Darrell Bevell got win numero uno, and more importantly, they, instead of giving up a double-digit lead, they came back from one.
Mitchell Trubisky is horrible. Matt Nagy is not an offensive guru. The defense was on the field for 37 minutes. How the hell do you fumble in that situation? You knew Adrian Peterson was getting the football. This team just needs to blow it all up and build it back. None of this would have happened if we would have drafted Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes, but that's a different topic for a different day. Congratulations to Detroit. I'm glad you finally got rid of Chuck E. Cheese. It's time to rebuild Detroit and rise from the ashes.
So you giving some love to the Detroit Lions?
I have no choice. Right now, Detroit is leading statistically the Chicago Bears. The Bears started 5-1. They're now 5-7. There's no excuse for that. We went from being at the top of the division to right behind Green Bay to in a tie with Minnesota to now at the bottom of the barrel. Chicago, somebody needs to get fired. Somebody needs to get fired.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody is fired. Now, into the I told you category via Alex Fleming. And boy, if anybody called this one, yeah, just pull out the champagne and all that stuff or whatever you're drinking in that glass. All I know is you definitely were right. The Washington football team, 23, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 17. Alex Smith did one dynamite job.
Saw it coming. The writing was on the wall. When you keep messing with somebody's schedule and they don't have time to properly rest, you don't have your starting running back, and you're facing a front seven that's hungry and getting trained properly by a real, actual coach in Ron Rivera, lightning can strike. Lightning did strike.
So let me ask you a question, Alex. Could you see a moment where Dak Prescott would play for the Washington football team?
Jerry Jones wouldn't allow that to happen. Jerry Jones, being the good old boy that he is, would never allow a former quarterback to play for the Washington football team to use against his old team. I think not even Jerry is dumb enough to do a move like that. He's going to re-sign Dak Prescott. You can bet your bottom dollar.
Well, that's fine. We can bet my bottom dollar, but Daniel Snyder hasn't what you've been called the prototypical owner, but his pockets are deep, and he's been known to go ahead and spend money on players. Albert Hainsworth was probably the biggest bust of them all, but at least you know that he's willing to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's another reason why I see Jerry Jones signing Dak Prescott. This is just the twilight zone, what's happening to the Dallas Cowboys right now. And it all started because you didn't want to give someone the contract. You don't know what you got until it's gone. You're missing Dak. Your defense is exposed. Your offense can't score points. They're not protecting Andy Dalton, and everything's in disarray.
There you go. So would you say that Mike McCarthy could be a one and done?
Mike McCarthy should have never got a head coaching gig. I'm tired of these recycled coaches. It's like, I don't want to take it there. I don't. But Idris Elba, for some odd reason, can't play James Bond. Yet you have people in Ben-Hur and people who don't look like me playing Egyptian pharaohs. Why in the hell isn't Eric Bieniemy, Leslie Frazier, and other defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators getting positions like Joe Judge or Stefanski? Guys, stop with the recycled coaches. Get some new and young blood. Because if you don't catch up with today's era, you're bound to get lost.
So do you think the Cowboys fans are actually missing Jason Garrett?
I didn't say that. The clapper was not the answer either. But you know what? He had a better playbook than Mike McCarthy. How do you not run Zeke? How do you go for it on fourth down in your own 30, but don't go for it on first down above your own 50? Horrible decision-making, bad play calling, and by the way, are you missing Chris Bouchard? Because last time I checked, he did a better job with this defense than Mike Nolan ever could. Hopefully he finds some more Tabasco in his eye. That's what happens when good old boys hire their friends, and everything falls apart.
Okay. All right, let's go on to this week. Tonight, New England Patriots against the LA Rams. I can tell you right now, over the last couple of weeks or so, the New England Patriots have made LA their home, and they did so by crushing the LA Chargers 45-0. Patriots go to this game 6 up, 6 down. The Rams go to it 8-4. But once again, second week in a row that New England has made Los Angeles their home. Who do you got?
I got the Rams. Look, I love Stephon Gilmore and Jackson. Good cornerback duo. You know how teams have been beating New England? They've been running on them and then play action passes. Look for Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson to break free, catch some passes in the backfield, and Cooper Kupp just to eat up whoever the hell is on him, whether it be Gilmore or Jackson. Plus, defense matters. Cam Newton's been putting up middle school numbers, and I don't like that offensive line's chances of stopping Aaron Donald. Do you? I got the Rams.
All right, well, you know what? We're going to differ a little bit tonight. I'm going to go with the Patriots. I like that. Oh, because now that we set ourselves for an I Told You So show, we'll see how many I Told You So's that there really are. And who knows, you might be telling me so on all of these things, what the off-the-wall picks I'm going to have. But I'm going to go with the New England Patriots. You know, this is an opportunity for them to come 7-6. You know, they were written off for a while. They're playing to get into the playoffs, and they're going to have a tough task to do it. So I'm going to give Bill Belichick his due, and they're going to be 2-0 in L.A., and they're going to be 7-6 when they leave L.A. All right, in the game that we're going to be at, looking forward to seeing you, Alex. The Tennessee Titans 8 up, 4 down. Jacksonville Jaguars 1-11. So you got
Jacksonville is going to be hosting the Mad Titan. Titans were embarrassed last week against the Cleveland Browns. I could have swore I called that game too. They are barely the number 4 seed, and they're still fighting with Indianapolis, and the only reason why they're the 4 seed is because they won the last tiebreaker. They need this game to go over the hump, while Indianapolis has a tough division rival to play this week. I like Tennessee big.
Well, I'm going to go Tennessee as well, but Mike Glennon is capable of putting up a lot of yards and a lot of points, and he'll be at home. But I'm still going to give the nod to the Tennessee Titans. I see this game ending at approximately 10 points or so in favor of the Titans. All right, so we both agree on the Tennessee Titans. The Kansas City Chiefs, 11 up, 1 down. Miami Dolphins, 8-4. You talked about Brian Flores. Who are you taking in this football game, Alex?
The easy play would be Kansas City. Miami's defense is legit. This is the Tua Tagovailoa show. If Tua shows up and shows out, Miami has a chance in this game. Kansas City has too many weapons. This, by definition, has the possibility to be a trap game. Easy money would be Kansas City. Crazy gamble would be Miami.
Okay. So who is it?
I got Miami.
I can't believe we are agreeing on this one. I'm going with Dolphins too. Yeah, I'm going to go with Miami. For some reason.
This is a coin flip.
Yeah. You know, I'll tell you, Tua struggles. Brian Flores won't hesitate to bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick if he needs them. So I'm going with the Dolphins as well. I just love Brian Flores, what he's done to that defense. And to me, this is going to be an interesting football game. But this won't be an I told you so if we both get it right. Okay, I'm looking for I told you so one of us gets it wrong. All right.
Hey.
All right, the game of the week, and I mean this literally and figuratively, especially in my household, pal. The Green Bay Packers, 9 wins and 3 losses against the Detroit Lions, 5-7 at Ford Field. You mentioned trap game with the Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs. Who are you going with this, Alex?
Green Bay, Green Bay, Green Bay. Okay, look, plain and simple. Detroit got lucky last week. There's no other way to explain it. Counterfeit, they got lucky. Green Bay is not going to be the same luxury that Chicago was. Chicago can't run the football. Chicago doesn't have a competent quarterback. You know what Green Bay has? Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers, who share a birthday, by the way. Look for Marquez Valdez-Scantling to take some of the pressure off of Devontae Adams. And look for Devontae Adams and Scantling to just abuse that Detroit secondary. I got Green Bay with your money.
Is that right? Well, I got Detroit Lions with my money. And I knew that would, just a little trivia out here, since it's the first time for you involved with this game. My wife and I got married on January 1st, 2017, when they were playing, and we watched the game over at Miller Park over Tuesday. So I'm going with the Lions, only because the game is indoors. And I have a feeling there potentially could be some chemistry between Darrell Bevell and Matthew Stafford. And I love the way Marvin Jones is playing. So, you know what? I'm going with the Lions. You go with the Packers. And we're really going to have a very interesting discussion next week. And unfortunately,
right.
I have to admit that we were at the December 3rd game 5 years ago, I think it was, when the Packers and Rodgers threw that Hail Mary, and I was saying, Hail no. And my wife was saying, Hail yes. And the Lions haven't gotten another Thursday night game since. Go figure. I don't know. Lions anyways. Minnesota Vikings against your Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay comes off a bye looking to clinch a playoff berth. I had to speak on it. It was so much, they gave me 2 pages. I laid out how Tampa Bay, A, is going to win this game, B, how they can use Minnesota secondary, C, how the ground game is going to be key, and D, get Antonio Brown involved in this offense. Mike Evans may not be eligible, may not play. That's all right. You got Chris Godwin and Tyler Johnson. Antonio Brown is going to be better than any corner that the Minnesota Vikings have. Point blank simple. Stop the run. Tampa Bay is 3rd against the run this year. They're going to need to have a first Herculean effort to slow down Dalvin Cook. Adam Thielen scores double-digit touchdowns 4 times out of the 11 games this year. He missed 1 game due to COVID. He has 721 yards receiving. The man's got 11-plus touchdowns. He's a problem. Oh, and Justin Jefferson, the guy that Philadelphia passed up on. 1,039 yards receiving, and he's got 7 touchdowns his damn self. Tampa Bay secondary is going to be tested. This might be a shootout. How do you stop them? Attack those corners and hit Kirk Cousins. I got Tampa.
All right. Well, you know what, Alex? We're going to differ again. I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings.
Why?
Why? You know what? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't run the football. Okay, they don't. And to me, they're 7-5. Who would have thought that going in at this time? Bruce Arians and Tom Brady are not in sync. They're not. Bruce Arians does a tremendous job attempting to throw Tom Brady under the bus. Guess what? Tom has 6 championship rings. Bruce, and how many you have? That means 0. So when Bruce Arians does a wonderful job, when he does a wonderful job out there, airing his dirty laundry with Brady, I struggle with that, especially when he doesn't have the winning pedigree. And I think Dalvin Cook could potentially have a pretty good game. And remember,
Bruce Arians has 1 Super Bowl ring.
Oh, yeah?
1.
What, is an assistant?
Pittsburgh. Yes.
Okay, I don't count that. Not totally. Let me see him earn one by himself. Okay, by himself. He hasn't done that yet. He wins a Super Bowl, in my eyes, because he can't keep his mouth shut. Leonard Fournette has to have a pretty good game. And you're right. Antonio Brown needs to get involved with this, and they have a lot of ifs too later in the year. And that's where I struggle with the Tampa Bay Bucs. But I'm looking for a lot of I told you so's next week, as I planned it. Good stuff. All right, let's go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills. Okay, Pittsburgh Steelers 11-1, Buffalo Bills 9-3. And just so you know, I think Brandon Beane got a contract extension, and Don't forget that Sean McDermott's probably one of the most underrated coaches out there. A nice looking situation with the quarterback, Josh Allen, and Stephon Diggs is happy in Buffalo. What do you got?
You know, I have some facts for you that might just shock you. Other than the fact that Stephon Diggs has 90 receptions and a 1,000-yard receiver with 4 games to go, and that Josh Allen's thrown for more than 300 yards in 6 of his 12 games, Cole Beasley should not be slept on. He has more yards than A.J. Brown. He has more receptions than DK Metcalf. He has more yards per reception than DeAndre Hopkins. He has more touchdowns than Julio Jones, and he has more 100-yard games than Tyreek Hill. Oh, and by the way, he's the number 2 receiver for the Buffalo Bills. The number 3 would be Smokey John Brown, who will be back for Sunday Night Football. Oh, and the Buffalo Bills are just now starting to run the football. Other than Patrick Mahomes, can you give me a quarterback that has a better arm? Nah. I'm a roll with Josh Allen because he's only getting better. And they don't get the respect they deserve. I believe I sent you that article that the Bills returned to the scene of the crime and faced the San Francisco 49ers. I think they keep the magic going. Upset special. Buffalo takes out Pittsburgh.
Well, don't forget a Florida Atlantic University alumnus named Devin Singletary. They get him involved in this offense. You're adding another weapon. But guess what? This won't be an I told you so game because I'm going with the Buffalo Bills too. I kind of tipped my hand with all that information. So, yeah, Cole Beasley is a very underrated player for sure. And I like the fact that they have stability between the coaching staff and the front office. You're looking at a combination between Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott that could be there for a while. And, you know, everybody knows about stability, especially when you're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've only had 3 coaches in the last how many years? 2 of them are in the Hall of Fame, and the other one's headed to the Hall of Fame. And if you need to know who they are, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and future Hall of Famer Mike Tomlin. So, and it was nice that I had a chance to see the Steelers beat the Arizona Cardinals in the Super Bowl in Tampa. There's no doubt I'm going with the Buffalo Bills here. All right, last one we're going to talk about. Unless you have one that you want to throw in at the end, that's fine. The Baltimore Ravens 7 up, 5 down against the Cleveland Browns 9-3. I don't know about you, but I was pretty impressed with what Baker Mayfield threw out there against a Titans team.
Okay, I called it last week because Cleveland had a receipt for what Tennessee did to them last year. That was one good game. You notice that Cleveland can only beat up on Cincinnati in their division? When was the last time Cleveland beat Pittsburgh when it actually mattered? When Big Ben was there? Yeah, I can't remember either. Oh, and since El Freaky has been the starter of the Baltimore Ravens, they split last year. Do you remember week 1? I remember week 1. It was embarrassing. Now it's Monday Night Football. What in the hell makes you think Lamar Jackson's going to let Baker Mayfield outshine him on Monday night with or without Mark Andrews? I got Baltimore, and this shouldn't even be close.
Well, you know what? Cleveland snuck up on Tennessee. They're playing at the Dog Pound, even though there won't be any fans there. So, you know, this goes in the I told you so category. I'm going with the Baltimore Browns. Oh, I meant the Cleveland Browns. And I can.
Yeah, it is. It is basically the same team because one actually left Cleveland and started winning.
Exactly. Ozzie Newsome went to Baltimore. Art Modell never went back to Cleveland. And the Baltimore Browns won 2 Super Bowls. Go figure. But I'm going with the Cleveland Browns anyways. There you go. So we're going to go out there. We might title this broadcast the I Told You So broadcast. Or do I need to do that for next week?
Nah. We could call this the I Told You So broadcast because we differed in quite a few games. There's one more we could talk about if you want to.
Go for it.
The Colts. They're playing Vegas. I got the Colts.
Okay. I won't tell you I told you so on that because I'm going with the Colts. How Vegas narrowly escaped New York Jets is beyond anybody's wild comprehension. All I know is Greg Williams got fired immediately after because of that call.
You saw that game. I know what that was. What did that look like to you?
Well, a step closer for the Jets to become 0-16. And if you're referring to the tank job, like probably everybody thinks they are, tank for Trevor Lawrence, which probably is a consensus of everybody out there, if that's what you want me to say, so be it. But the Raiders didn't want to go ahead and be the one team that lost to the Jets, and this team is bad.
Do you see Arizona getting upset by the New York Giants?
I believe the game is in New York, right? I believe. So if the game is in New York, I could probably see the Giants winning because right now the Arizona Cardinals are a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You never know exactly what team is going to show up. What about you? What about you, Alex? That's my take on it anyways. But so now you have it for fantasy football. My name is Scott Morgan, Rough Motor City Manmouth, being joined by Alex Fleming. We may be having a couple of technical difficulties. We'll hope to have Alex back in just a moment. Once again, I want to pay my special tribute to David Levin. David certainly is a very close friend of mine, and I'm really proud to be associated. So as we look to get Alex back, Alex, thank you. Okay, to answer your question, okay, about that upset between the New York Giants and Arizona Cardinals. You know, if the game's being played in New York, I could see the Giants winning. The Arizona Cardinals are a tough team to read all year. We don't know what team is going to show up. That's what I think.
I got Arizona by the slimmest of margins.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick to the Giants.
That could be an I told you so game.
So tonight's episode, folks, will be I Told You So. Scott versus Alex. Oh, no, not Scott versus Alex. It'll be I Told You So. What can I tell you? All right, Alex, any other facts or information you want our listeners and viewers to what?
Look for history to be made this week 14. Derrick Henry has 1,317 yards rushing. James Robinson, undrafted free agent out of Illinois State, is 32 yards away from becoming a 1,000-yard rusher. He took the place of Leonard Fournette in Jacksonville. Look for Stephon Diggs to have a big game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And just look for there to be rushing touchdowns left and right. This will be the week of the rush.
Yeah, bear in mind, Robinson was an undrafted free agent, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
So you can find hidden gems anywhere. I love it when these undrafted free agents make the team and they prove everybody wrong. But once upon a time, though, the draft used to be 10, 12 rounds, so these are guys that would have been picked up during a draft anyway. So, with that said, this concludes our edition of Fantasy Football. My name is Scott Morganoff, along with Alex Fleming. Looking forward to seeing Alex on Sunday up in Jacksonville. Alex, why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you?
You can find me on Twitter at ALXFLMNG, Alex Fleming, no vowels. I do mess around with Instagram, but I don't mess with Instagram models. Too many fake accounts. The Carousel, either you're on or you're on. Thursday, 7 p.m. I take fans from across the country and the globe, and I talk about their team, who's the hot player to watch, and trends in the NFL. Florida Sun, online or in newspaper. You can find this mug and other sports stories. I covered the Orlando Magic, Jacksonville Jaguars, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and hopefully the Tampa Bay Raptors. But that's a story for another time. Every now and then I even write about the Miami Dolphins. Sports Arena, Monday nights. It's almost like we're in a bar and I'm talking to our friends because we keep it real 100 and we don't need to cuss to get our point across. Eric Wilson, Jake Rungholt, Mike Carrick's-Nuno, and Ruth Casillas. We do the thing. Sports reporters and bloggers, we know what the hell we're talking about. Oh, and last but not least, happy birthday to Ryan Skullroot's son. That's why he couldn't make it on the show today. Skull King Sports, where East meets West. Scott Morganroth, Ryan Skullroot, and myself, Alex Fleming.
Very good. All right. Well, once again, Ryan, happy birthday to your son, and we look forward to having you back on next week. And then we'll have to break him into the "I told you so" theme here, because I'm going to make sure he knows everything about what we talked about tonight. So, you want to talk about differences and predictions during Green Bay Packers versus Detroit Lions week with my beloved wife Candy, a rivalry for which she actually took pictures at Lambeau Field one time, quite a few years ago, and she got in there via the Detroit Lions. You know, she knows it, but nevertheless. All right, to contact us, you can do so on Twitter at Tribune South, and again, that's at Tribune South. You can reach us on Facebook and Instagram at South Florida Tribune. You can go to our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you'll find the latest information from all of our media distribution partners, as well as our columnists. We also have the Motor City Monitor on there as well. We have a YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune. We'd like you to please subscribe to that YouTube channel, and you'll be able to get all of our different broadcasts there as well. Want to contact us directly, contact us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Any opinions, comments, whatever, we'll make sure we get them out there, respond to you as well. And this broadcast can also be heard, the audio version, on what's Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. So, great broadcast tonight here, Alex, and I look forward to seeing you up in the Big J as well. A pretty interesting football game. The one thing about the Jacksonville Jaguars, they compete hard. They really do. I mean, I know they're looking at some major changes there. Doug Marrone, obviously, we don't know what his status will be, but I know that that'll be a very attractive GM opening when indeed they do fill that. And I know the Lions will be going through their own type of search as well. Right now, Darrell Bevel has a chance to win that job full time, and if he can pull off a win against the Packers, a team for which he actually coached with, and more importantly, he was big out at the University of Wisconsin, then you know what? You have a lot of teams with that rivalry playing for jobs and opportunities, and that's what it's all about. So, and why don't you go ahead and give the COVID message, okay, Alex?
Wash your damn hands. Wearing a mask isn't being greedy. It's about caring about more people than just yourself. 289,000 people in this country have died due to COVID-19. We carry less than 20% of the world population, yet we have 25% of the world's cases. Think about that. Stop being greedy. Care about your fellow man. Wash your damn hands.
And don't be negligent either. Common sense, common courtesy. Stay at home. Social distancing, the rest of that goes with it. More importantly, folks, mask up. Really? Do it. So on behalf of Alex Fleming, my name is Scott Morganroth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Fantasy Football. And our goal is to do better next time. And we'll see who's telling who so. So meanwhile, everybody have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next week. God bless everybody. Be safe.